This episode of Honestly Dear Listener is dedicated in loving memory to Roy Daggett. You will be missed. Hey, dear listener, a quick heads up before we begin today. Today's episode is a conversation about the death of a parent. Emily recently lost her dad, and today we're exploring what happens not just to us, but to all the expectations, roles, and identities we carry when the person who helped shape them is suddenly gone. We talk about grief, relief, body shock, some gallows humor. So if you're navigating any kind of loss, whether someone is truly gone or just no longer who they were before, take care of yourself as you listen. We're two childhood best friends talking about creative mindset.
I'm Emily Hatch.
And I'm Carrie Schaefer, and this is Honestly Dear Listener.
Honestly, dear listener.
Woo! Dear listener, we're back. And whereas you didn't experience any break,
Yeah, you're like, you were gone?
Emily and I have not recorded for a solid 2 months.
Yeah. So I've missed you,
I've missed you. Yeah.
and we're back, and a lot has happened
Mm-hmm.
in a couple of months. I've decided I'm going to be a failed comedian now. Because why not just
Yeah.
set your expectations low? Um, I was telling my friend that like if this singer shit doesn't work out, I'm gonna just become a comedian, which also is not lucrative and relies on other people thinking you're good.
I think that is so funny that we in the arts are like, oh, yeah, world, I'll show you. I'll switch to another profession. And it's always something that is just adjacent.
It's a lateral move.
It is. Like in college, I was majoring in vocal music performance, and I was like,
Mm.
I don't want to do this. What am I going to do with this? I'm not going to make any money. So I shifted to English literature
Yeah.
to a degree that basically says I can read good. So
Yeah.
that's neat. What are we doing, Emily?
Uh, yeah.
What's the creative supposed to do?
Create, I guess, in their apartment they can't afford.
Yep.
Uh And then actually, what's the creative supposed to do? If you look at my life right now, the creative is supposed to think about all the things that they would like to make and think about it so much that they don't actually do it. That's what
Yep. A
the
lot of
creative
thinking.
does.
Yep. Because creatives think outside of the box, which is great, which lends itself to doing whatever creative endeavor that you're doing.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, it also comes with creative thinking, which
Mhm.
means you creatively think yourself out of doing the thing that you mean to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
So fun.
Yep.
Yeah, I was talking to Gemma like a week ago, and she's like, I think action is the new thinking.
Yep.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. And then I proceeded to just like think about that, what that means.
Yep.
Emily, oh my God.
Yep.
Um, that being said, gentleness is what I long for. Gentleness is what I need.
Gentleness is what you want for me.
Yeah, and that's true. I do.
Right.
For those of you who don't know, that's a song
It's a
from
Christian worship song.
yeah. I don't think it's gentleness is definitely not one of the words. It's like faithfulness, and holiness.
That's true.
Gentleness is like, no,
No.
you don't get that. Gentleness, self gentleness is what I need from me. And
That's right.
that's because, uh, trigger warning about death. Hello. My dad died, since I last spoke to y'all. So maybe I shouldn't be such a dick to myself about not doing as much right this moment. But yeah,
Right.
there's that. That's a fun thing.
That's pretty big.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and then it was my birthday, like, a week later.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday,
Thank
Emily.
you. Yeah. Um, during my birthday, I had a couple of adult beverages and, like, did a tight 10 on my dad dying, and,
Tight.
um, you guys, I horrified one of my friends with the jokes. Look, I got the sense of humor from my dad, and I feel like he was probably laughing down on me from heaven. Do you know what I mean? Not
Yep.
smiling down. My jokes were good. And he would have appreciated it. That being said, when he died, I just vomited for like 12 to 15 hours without stopping. It's been a very difficult time. And so I've been like joking a lot about it because it helps, cuz like he ain't getting any deader. You might as well have
As your
some
friend
fun.
who knew this man and thought he was so great and, like, spent part of my childhood, like, knowing him, as your friend, I I I don't know how to respond other than to laugh, and I know that I'm just going along with the humor. I am also sad that your father passed away, and also, what do you as your friend, I gotta laugh at your jokes. I hope it's not offensive.
Thank you.
Yep.
Really, the best thing you could do is laugh at my jokes for me in my new career as a comedian. Yeah, you guys, you don't, I'm guessing most of you listeners don't know me that well. So this could be entirely disturbing to hear me joking this hard about it. But I assure you, as all of these lines upon my face will show you, I have been crying a lot. And yeah, my dad was my bestest friend when I was growing up. To a
Mm.
fault, really. I didn't need any friends because my dad was the coolest. And that's why no one understood what I was talking about ever. Uh, people my age were like, Jerry Lewis, what are you talking about? Um, because my dad was my best friend, and he a lot changed in his life. My dad lived like a lot of lives uh,
Mm.
in his life, and so the last 10 years were very different than the dad that I grew up with. Um, I think, and he also, like, he passed away in his sleep. It was pretty darn unexpected. He hadn't been doing super well, but he hasn't been doing well forever. He was very strong, went through a lot, but also very whiny overall. Just kind of, he'd he'd been through a lot of things. So when he was like, "Well, I guess my heart's not doing so well," like, "Yep, that's normal." And then he passed before the next time I could talk to him. So, um, yeah, he was out of here. That's the way to go. Can we
It
just say,
is.
like, it's the worst for your family, but it's the best. Like, I hope that's how I go. Um, but yeah, dad lived a lot of lives in there. I haven't actually broken this down out loud. So my dad was raised by really super abusive alcoholics. Like he was writing kind of a book about his upbringing because it was terrible. He overcame all of that. He also himself was an alcoholic for a while. He quit drinking for like 30 years. He had a band. He met my mom in a band. He got saved. He, like during that time before was like a disaster and a self-proclaimed whore. He called himself. And he had been married twice before, like getting saved. And then he became like, he met my mom in a band. He became a pastor and planted several churches, and that's the guy I grew up with. Um,
Mm.
and then he and my mom got divorced, and he like went a little whatever, like lived a whole different life. He started dating men and started drinking again, and had a really sweet relationship with an old dude, um, and died there at his boyfriend's house. So he lived a lot of lives, more lives than most. So anyway,
Yeah.
it's just an interesting thing. Um, having so having kind of realized like I I'm living his dream of being a professional singer. Kind of the like realizing this is heavy shit, but like the expectations that he was never like mean about it, but it was just kind of implied that and said, I guess, that like this is what I'm meant to do and that I did more than he'll ever do with
Mm.
music. And I think there was like a lot of pressure that I didn't even fully realize on me to be successful as a performer. So dealing with that has been interesting too. And his passing has been like, I have wondered for a while. I'm not quitting music, but am I just singing because I feel like I have to? I've been wondering that for a few years. So that's been an interesting journey. So there's that. Welcome back, honestly, dear listener. Hey, hey. Takes a
S-
sip of water.
well, well, that's our show, folks.
Mm-hmm.
See you next in
2 weeks.
I was going to see you next in 2 weeks.
See you in a fortnight.
In a fortnight. Okay, so where does one go from here?
Yeah, where does one go? I think we talk about creativity on this podcast, but we talk a lot about just like life and
Mhm.
how different stages of life affect us. And I think, we talk a lot about being 40 now, 41. Um, and these are the kind of things that happen to people on average, uh, more in this time of life. And
Yeah.
we're really asking ourselves a lot more questions in our like midlife about how we were raised, what our family's expectations are, how our relationships with our parents are changing, shifting pretty dramatically. That affects us as human beings and thereby like our art, um, what we're kind of like slogging through. And I think before my dad passed, the dad I grew up with and knew wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
Um, and I loved him and we were still very close and he just visited a couple months ago and um but yeah, I think this is relevant to all of us and our whether our
Yeah.
parents have actually passed or they're just the relationship has passed. If we're healthy adults, we've changed. This relationship and dynamic has changed from when we were 15, from when we were 20, from when,
Yep.
um so yeah, I've been examining that and I think I've been kind of grieving who I knew my dad to be a little bit, a lot of it before he actually passed. And that doesn't mean I didn't love who he was at the end of things, but yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Like, you can grieve someone even though they haven't died. You
Mhm.
can grieve parts, or you can grieve, who they were at a specific time in your life, or
Mhm.
who you thought they were.
Yes.
Um, especially, we get ideas about our parents, especially when we're little,
Mhm.
and they I mean, they are the main people that teach us what the world is like and how to navigate the world. So,
Mm,
yeah, I mean, I can remember being like sincerely believing that my dad was faster, stronger, could beat up anyone else's dad
mm,
easily. I mean, of course, not even thinking about, well, maybe this is the thing that all kids think,
mm,
you know?
mhm,
So it is kind of a shock when you figure out, and I mean, some would argue that I'm figuring this out late, but like that your parents are human beings. Like what a
yeah,
that and that to me, that's, if I'm honest, that's a disappointment.
mm,
And that's
right?
a grief.
Yeah, yep. Uh, just as a side note, like, I don't know every kid if every kid thought their dad could, like, outrun and beat up, anybody else's dad, because I was like, my dad could definitely upholster a chair better than anybody else's dad. And he turned out to be, like, bisexual? Interesting. Sorry. My dad could sew your dad under the table. Yeah. Um, he taught me how to French braid and bake. Um, yeah.
Yes.
So, but yes,
Yeah.
yeah, our loss of expectation,
Mhm.
um, with our parents, and I'm sure their loss of expectation with us.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird. Being a human is odd and difficult. Um,
Yes, it really is. And I'm expecting it to get easier, but I don't know if it's going to.
yeah. Yeah, I think we go through life cycles. This is let me set this up. This is very harsh. Also, I've just been like, let's level it here. Our kids, this is like life cycles to me. I don't know. Our kids are really cute when they are really annoying. Like when they're little babies, they're so
Mhm.
cute that you don't murder them,
Yep.
because they're really hard to take care of and you don't sleep and you're like freaking out. And then they get to be like 13 and they get shitty again. And you're like, they're not cute, but now they're too big. So you can't really do anything about it. They annoy you so that you want them to leave. And that's like how we get through this. The last few years, you're like, get the fuck out of here. You're
Mhm.
so mean and smelly. And then they like distance themselves because you're an asshole, right? And then they come back around when they're like becoming that parent age themselves and they're like,
Yep.
okay. And then we're like, all right, now it's our turn as parents to be a different thing to our kids. And we've got to be like, uh, not that close to our kids or that's bad and weird. And then we become the people that they're like, get the fuck out of here. Uh, you're annoying the hell out of me. And then we die. So it's like, we have to kind of like teenagers have to get shitty kind of
Mm.
for us to be like, get out.
Bye.
And then, not that anyone wants their parents to die, because that is not the case at all. But I do think more health issues, more cantankerousness, maybe the Christmas visit doesn't need to be 2 weeks long. That kind of shit that you're like more okay with the distance that's going to happen when they die. This is what I honestly think is like our cycle of living. How harsh is that?
No, and instead of, because our parents don't get cute like little babies necessarily. Although I do think that I can see my dad like starting to become an elderly gentleman, and I'm all,
Mhm.
"Oh." I mean, that's kind of cute, like
Mhm.
not as cute as a baby, but in a different way.
Yeah.
But maybe the thing that we hold on to, like we keep babies around, A, we love them, duh. I mean, dear listener, please understand that when we're saying all this stuff about babies and our parents, it is always with the understanding, the underlying that love never stops, right? From
Yes.
the beginning that baby's born to, you know, and it,
When
I
we
mean,
shuffle off this mortal coil.
exactly. Like, I hope you I think we're being glib about this because, how else do you
It's
deal
too
with parent
fucking
dying?
heavy.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, like, please hear the love underlying all of this. Okay, so I just had to tell you that. With that said, now we proceed. So, but I do think that maybe the older parents are not cute like a baby, but the thing that keeps you coming back is the fact that ideally, they would have taken care of you for so long that
Mhm.
now it's time for you to return the favor,
Mhm.
and that feels natural for most of us. For some of us,
Mhm.
we disconnect from our parents, and you may have done that, dear listener. I get it. We're not here to judge,
Mhm.
but, like,
Totally.
generally, I think, it's the kids taking care of the parents, and, we just sort of are like, wow, I feel like I owe you one because you
Mm.
kept me alive for so long.
You kinda gave me life or
Yeah,
whatever, and by kinda, you totally did.
you did.
What's that book, the, like, famous one that's like, "I love you forever, I like you for always, as
Yeah,
long as I'm living, my
I will
baby you'll
not.
be."
I
Yeah,
won't read that.
I will not engage.
Nope.
Yeah, but that's kinda the premise of
Yep.
that, you know? Um, yeah, and so with all this glibness?
Glibbery,
Glibbery.
glibosity.
Merry
Yep.
glibness. Um, happy glibbin days.
Yep.
Um, I honestly cannot tell you how much I loved the shit out of my dad at
Mm.
every stage of his life. I think I enjoyed diving into some of the darker things and like the humorous piece of this because I really think we're just, especially as women, middle-aged women, we're just supposed to be so fucking reverent about everything. But the
Hmm.
truth is like we need some lightness to feel camaraderie.
Yep.
Sometimes you need somebody to say the shit that we're not allowed to say. And
Right.
so I'm doing that. But like my dad, I'm so fucking sad. Like I'm so
Mhm.
sad. It's really weird. I want to call him and be like, "Do you know how sad everyone is that you're dead?
Mhm.
Did you know that people loved you this much?" I mean,
Mhm.
yep, so there's that. Let's move on cuz I don't want to cry. Um but yeah, guys, duh.
Yeah.
I loved my dad.
Yeah.
um anyway. But yeah, it kind of brings you into this place of like expectations, what expectations we put on our kids, what expectations our parents had of us. How much does that govern who we feel like we're supposed to be?
Mm.
I I was just like reading some things online to try to calm myself because I was really having a hard time sleeping and having just a lot of like
Yeah.
disturbing thoughts, honestly, not like self-harm or scary like that, but just things keeping me up at night. And one of the things I read was that a lot of people when their parents die have identity issues. And I
Mhm.
thought that was interesting and it makes a lot of sense. Who am I if my parents are gone?
Oof.
My mom's still here, but the expectations, the hopes of who I am
Yeah.
uh, died. Like
Oof.
I never have really thought about how much of our identity is based around what our parents want us to be or do, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and if you think about it in the different phases of your life, they have led most of us, and our parents have led the charge on what we should do. Are
Mhm.
you going to college? I don't want you to be an artist. I want you to make money. Or I want you to be an artist, but you're going to be poor. But if you're an artist, you've got to be successful. Like, think about that. That has led us through our lives. So as our parents either die or start disappearing,
Yeah.
the person your identity shifts a lot. especially if you're close to them.
That makes total sense because in a way, I think our parents do they do hold our identities almost for us, and they mirror back, I think, who we are, but a lot of times, and this is where we have to be careful as parents, they mirror back to us what they see or what they
Mm,
want to see
yep.
in us. And we, as kids whose brains are mushy, don't
Mhm,
know any better and live according to the script that we've been given.
mhm,
Like you were saying, that identity, we're playing out an identity that may not be ours. I
mm,
mean, authentically ours, but instead has been held, created, upholded, perpetuated
mhm.
by our parents that honestly, and some parents know they're doing it, but I do think that the majority of parents probably don't even know that they're doing that with their kids.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
So how has, in your specific case, and I want to be sensitive today because I know this is really recent new
Mhm.
tender
It's been
ground.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Mm.
So what are you noticing about your identity since your dad has passed away and the expectations for that identity?
I suppose what I'm noticing is that I feel, mm, like there's no one to be like, "But you're a singer, Emily,"
Mm,
anymore. Um, Because on I mean, this is the negative piece of it toward our relationship, I suppose. Um, I'd be like excited about teaching or doing something, and he's like, "But you're a singer. You're supposed to be a singer,"
oh,
you know?
mhm. Not even
And
something adjacent to that, but
yeah,
like a
yeah,
singer and
like,
a
"Yeah, I know
performer.
you're a very good teacher, Emily. I know you've helped me," he would say it, like, "You helped me in my voice, but you're meant to sing,
Mm,
you know? You're a good teacher, but you're a singer," you know? Um, that so there that's the only person in my life, but it meant a lot to me that those were his expectations of me, and that's gone. I can I felt like I could do whatever I want now,
yeah.
which is such a weird thing because I noticed that it was affecting me, but I didn't really fully realize, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
um, so in like a positive way, I guess, sort of. But also like I think he put his identity into me,
Mhm.
which was a lot of pressure. So that being said, I think he told me all the time, "I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. You've done so much more than I ever did." And I used to
Mm,
kind of feel like that "you've done so much more than I did" was some kind of like negative, that like he was jealous of me or something, or like used it as an excuse to like not do anything and because I beat him or something. But I think I was really realizing this last couple weeks that he meant it like, and I need to be careful because I just don't want to lose it. But like I've done enough if I made you.
mm,
And
mhm.
having him say that to me means that that's enough.
Yeah.
He's with him gone. I don't feel like I need to keep doing anything, if that makes
Mm,
sense. Like he validated that identity, and now I get to figure out whatever the fuck I want
yep.
to do. Singing can be my job. Singing can be my passion. I could never sing again if I want. I feel like a freedom from it,
Mhm.
actually, instead of feeling, I think a lot of people, from what I see, people feel like they have a responsibility now to the person who died.
Mm.
I feel like mine has been released.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah.
That's
Ugh.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's that.
Woo!
I'm flying him home with me. And yeah. So okay, they'll mail you the ashes.
Uh-huh.
That feels weird.
Yep.
Like USPS, my dad's bod to me. That's weird. But the weirder thing is I called to be like, so how do I what this is a biohazard, okay? I know this because people at Disney have been trying to dump people's ashes. I've got a body on an airplane. And I talked to the lady about how to do this. I'm assuming, like most weird things, you have to check it, right?
Right.
Like have it not because I think it's weird to be like, there's a body
In the
in
cabin
tiny,
right next
tiny
to me.
pieces
Yep.
here. Like people could do some weird shit, right? No, you have to have him in a carry on.
Yep.
So it's the opposite.
Interesting.
You
I mean,
have to carry him on.
it makes sense, and this is why it makes sense, because if they lose your luggage, now we're talking like major trauma for some people, right? If they lose your luggage, it's bad. But if you
Yeah.
lose your carry-on at the airport, that's on you, babe. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like you weren't
Yeah.
watching after your dad very well.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. She was like, I feel like people are more peaceful too about not like watching. I mean, can you imagine watching your suitcase getting thrown onto the and you're like, "Oh shit, I
That's
hope
my dad.
be
See,
careful." Like,
I
yeah.
maybe it's the gallows humor, which I also have that piece, but I think that is hysterical.
I
Like,
mean,
I think that because they're I mean, and this is how I was raised, right? I was raised in the West by people who grew up being farmers. I mean, generations and generations of farmers who are like, "Oh, something died. Dig a hole out back and like literally take the horse out to pasture."
my dad grew up on a farm too. Yes. So,
Right. I mean, we're kind of hard scrabble people. Like my entire family is like, "Oh, we're all doing cremation and we're not buying an urn. It's literally the bargain basement plastic box that they probably still sell for too much money. But
yeah.
like that's it and then we're spreading the ashes and we're calling it good, you know?"
Mhm. Mhm.
So, I just don't have that kind of reverence when it comes to especially ashes. I mean, I'm not gonna like, here's a dead body. Let's, let's dump it
Shoot
in
it
a
out of a
field
cannon.
somewhere. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do that. But ashes, shoot, I went, I across the country carried
Mm.
part of my grandmother's ashes in a conditioner bottle, like, the kind that is, like, really thick that you screw
Uh-huh.
on off the like,
Uh-huh.
it's like a tub, and I
Uh-huh.
dumped her in there. She's still right over there on my shelf in part.
Hey, grandma.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think she would have gotten the biggest kick knowing that she was traveling in the front seat in a conditioner bottle across the United States, just bumping along. And I was having all kinds of conversations with her, like, "Hey, Mayor, now we're in Missouri. Now we're in Kentucky." Like, I
Oh
think
my God.
she would have gotten the biggest kick. So, yes,
That's amazing. Oh,
yes.
so when my grandma died, my dad's mom, who was quite the battle axe, like, yeah. And I think we've talked about, I like want to write a story about
Mm-hmm.
how fucking weird she was. Anyway, um, we all went to get her casket body because it was so expensive to have an entire embalmed body shipped.
Oh,
So there was a caravan uh, across from Arizona to Colorado with Anna Mae's body uh, in a station wagon.
oh my gosh. This is As I Lay Dying. This is the plot of that book. Okay, what?
Yeah, yeah.
You can
So
do that?
I don't know, but we did.
Oh my.
Yeah, my uncle Malcolm drove the station wagon and we drove behind it and they put a blanket over it. And I remember us going to a gas station stop and the blanket had kind of slid off so you could
Oh.
sort of see the casket handles. And we were
Uh-huh.
like, "Whoop, better fix that." Yeah,
I mean, honestly, you do what you gotta do.
you do indeed. And, so Carrie and I were also both raised to believe that as soon as to be absent from the body is to be present with Christ. And so I've been struggling with that a little bit. And that's a whole nother episode that I won't get into. But in general, it's like my dad isn't there. Whatever we're believing about whatever, he literally isn't there. That's
Right.
not him anymore. And so some of the irreverence is just hilarious because it's not him, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but we did go to Disneyland because I was in LA when I found out, and my dad loved Disneyland, so we went and went on his favorite rides, and I was the only 40-year-old woman crying with
Mm.
no children in line for Peter Pan. So that's cool too. But it was great. There were so many like very sweet, magical moments that I know my dad was smiling down on, like it was very cool. But uh, did you know that they have to filter out the Pirates of the Caribbean ride quite often because people dump ashes in the water? Did you know a couple of years ago, someone dumped an entire urn on the Rise of the Resistance ride? There was a picture of like where the cars go, and there was just like a shit ton of ashes like smeared all over the floor. And they
Whoa.
had to shut the ride down because it is a biohazard. Can you
Right.
imagine? Okay. And then also, people do that on like the Haunted Mansion ride, obviously. Uh,
Makes
and
sense.
and this is the worst one. On the Space Mountain roller coaster, like people talk about that they've like vacuumed up remains because people are throwing them out of the roller coaster. Can you imagine being on a roller coaster and suddenly there's like some kind of smeary dirt in your mouth
Yep.
and you realize it's somebody's dead relative? Guys,
Yeah.
don't do that. You get kicked out permanently from Disneyland if they catch you putting any remains there.
Yeah. It's yeah. I've actually heard everybody does it, but it's illegal really to spread ashes.
And there are designated places you can, but
Really?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people do it all the time. They do it in the ocean, they do it off the side of a mountain, you
Mhm.
know. It's just yeah, it's weird.
That that being said, just a little scoop of Roy, just a toe's worth in the bushes at Disney, that'd be great. Look,
Yes.
Disney, if you're hearing this because you know you listen to the podcast, I am not going to do that because I don't want to be kicked out of Disneyland forever, but I wish that I could just put a little scoop of Roy in the bushes, but I'm not going to.
You could just do like a little a teaspoon.
I
You
can't do
could
it.
do a teaspoon everywhere you go, traveling.
It's true, but not at Disney. So their cameras there are like it's like a casino. They
Oh,
could
that makes
even like
sense.
zoom in on your phone and see what you're texting. That's how
Whoa.
many and how like high tech they are. That's why they take a picture of your face when you walk in.
Wow.
So like even if I just put I thought, a little Blistex
Uh-huh.
container, just a little Roy in there, sneak it in. Cause how did that person sneak in a whole ass human, by the way? But just a little scoop. But what if they just see it and then I'm the asshole that did that?
Yeah.
So anyway, your family's expectations. Let's just kind of wrap this up. Roy was a wonderful, giving, loving human. Um, my very like, he was my total everything and hero when I was a child. Um, I miss him so much.
Yeah.
Um, and he like I think he just wanted the best for me, and I think we want that for our kids.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know, it's an interesting thought this, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
how much does our parents' desire for us to be a certain thing impact what we do with our lives? And when they start becoming someone else to us, it's okay to be a little grievy even if they're still there.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Absolutely. Well, and I think all of this is so normal, you know? Like
Mhm.
death is so very weird. Like, you mean to tell me that a person that I've known my entire life, that I've always been able to get a hold of or call or whatever, just one day you just can't anymore.
Mhm.
Like, that's absurd. Like, I get the whole when they talk about there are stages to grief. I was always like, what do you mean bargaining?
Mm.
Like, they're dead. There's
Mhm.
there's n That's it. But the more I have experienced death and loss, the more I understand, like, there's a part that you're like, "But no, but wait, that no, that's absurd. Like, it's always been this way."
Mhm.
And now you're
Mhm.
telling me for the first time in my whole existence, it isn't this way? This is such a
Mhm.
pivotal part of who I am, and what? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't compute, and that's weird.
Yeah. No, there was a point I was like, not real, but like my brain was going, okay, and then like next week, I'm going to call my dad and be like, remember how you died? That was crazy.
Yeah,
You know, like for a moment, I'm like, yeah, n- no, no, like that. It's such a weird,
yeah,
like your brain can't wrap around that, you know?
yeah,
It's like, and I'm going to call dad and be like, everyone's sad you're dead. And he's going to be like, ah, really? Like, no, Emily, no, that's not real, you
yep.
know? So yeah, it's a
Well,
strange.
and just how you can be like grief is so weird because then it'll come out of the blue of you're just living your life. You're laughing, you're doing your thing. Grief hits and you're like for seemingly out of nowhere.
Mhm,
And you're like,
mhm.
"Wait, I wasn't even thinking about this person. I
Yep,
wasn't even anything." And then
yep.
all of a sudden, I'm out of control, and, like, I think there's a thing in your brain, like, your logic, like, somewhere up here in your prefrontal cortex is like, "Okay, where did that come from? What is happening? Why are you crying about this, like,
Mm,
right now? Like, why
yeah,
not all these other like, why now?" But the
yeah.
body and grief has to do with the body is
Mhm,
will have its way. Like, it will come out,
mhm.
and it's
Yeah,
weird.
that's what's been the weirdest thing actually was like the disconnect between my brain and my body.
Mhm.
I've never felt that so strongly. It was like I accept that this happened. I kind of have been preparing myself, but my body was in shock.
Yeah.
And I could not. I was at Vocalize You. Like I could not stop vomiting. I couldn't stop. And there was no
Yeah.
like rational thing happening.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm not even like this. I'm really sad. But all of a sudden it was like, I can't even drink water. I'm just out of control vomiting.
Yeah.
Like, and I couldn't stop.
Yep. Yeah, I think grief is one like, there are some things in our lives that happen that really, really highlight kind of like I wanna say the disconnection, but it's actually the connection between the brain and the body and, like, kind of the mind intellect thing,
Mm-hmm.
and the body. I think that's probably a better way to say it because the brain is still part of the body,
Right.
but like our consciousness, our logic, our all of those things kind of exist somewhere else. They're
Mm-hmm.
almost like disembodied if that it's like the part of us
Mm-hmm.
that is like, why are you throwing up? Why are you crying right now?
Yeah.
Why can't you accept that this happened? That
Mm-hmm.
versus the body that's like it feels what it feels. it's doing
Mhm.
what it's doing. Like, I think that there are times in our lives where that becomes very apparent that we have
Mhm.
both, and I think that death and grief is definitely one of those things that highlights that there's more than one thing going on with this
Totally.
existence thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I've had to just be like allowing, like, this is how I feel today. I feel really tired
Yeah.
and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like, logically, I'm sad, but I'm fine. Like, I've been
Mhm.
sleeping, but my body is like, okay, let's go lay down now.
Yeah.
Like, okay, okay. I've just been like my body is the lassie. It's like, what is it, boy? Like,
Yeah.
what are uh it's
Yeah.
like, Timmy feels like he fell down the well.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh let's go
Yes.
lay down. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. Well, if you're still with us, dear listener, I mean, like, on Earth, you're still here, but if you're still here listening, thank you for listening, and I hope you're doing okay.
Yeah. And Emily, we are so very sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry this happened. And um yeah, I'm glad that your dad isn't hurting and that he's at peace.
Thank you. Me too.
Yeah.
All right, until the next fortnight. Honestly, dear listener.
Woo!